mechanical engineering background plus supply chain. So if you ask me whether I do for the food, I am not the technical person, but more of a project management kind of a person. Actually, the person who just left, you didn't see him. He was my partner in food consultation. He actually had to leave. I was inviting him to this conversation as well so that he can give more technical input, but my input would be more based on, more of a common sense, to be very frank with you. When I have worked with industries in packaging, and when we talk about food, I have worked with utility vendors as well. Whenever you set up an industry, you work with different vendors, be it refrigeration, be it boiler, ZLD, zero liquid discharge, civil teams, and all those things, right? So I kind of touch surface with different industries as well. And if I talk about Mehsana locally, for last 10 years, Dudhsagar Dairy was there since 1960. So Mehsana was dairy capital. Second industry which is there is oil field. ONGC is heavily concentrated at Mehsana, and Mehsana is largest producer of crude oil onshore.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Yeah. Okay.
So these two are very heavily focused previously, but what I am lately, and third is the road equipment industry. Apollo is there, Aman Apollo, then Alltech, Ashirvad. So it started from one company, and then the employees from that company, they came out of it, and you would be surprised, each of them is running a company with turnover more than 100 crores. So there are
wonderful.
10 or 15 different companies in road equipment itself. Then pharma is there for last 15-20 years, Torrent, Intas, Zydus. So if we talk about these industries which are locally, Mehsana is at the epicenter of it, within the 100-kilometer radius. And then the fourth industry is Scotspen industry. My school friend, he has a industry of his own. He is supplier to Zara, Gap, industries like that. So there are 5 or 6 major players in Scotspen as well. So it gives you a diverse background of industries as well, which we are trying to focus. We are trying to solve the problem and the problems which entrepreneurs face, right from the conception of the idea, then industry is set, then the next step is to do the market and sale. Even during our last conversation, the major problem which everyone had is how to bring the sale, how to do the marketing. There is good set of people who have very good knowledge on setup of the industries, which I fairly see they are very good at it. There are many turnkey consultants as well, but where they lack is the selling part, how to identify the market, which markets they can go. Many of them are not even aware they can create a market, and that's what I always focus on. You need to be smart enough to create your own market. So I think if we can focus on this part, if we can teach entrepreneurs creating their own market, they can solve their own problems. That's what my belief is. It's not easy thing to do. Yeah.
Give me an example of what that would mean and how an entrepreneur may have done that with you.
I can give you my own example only, like how I do it. Like 3 years back, my partner, he comes from food industry background and he is passionate about chocolate. So he pitched me, chocolate ka factory डालते हैं. So I said, no, I don't want to set up a very big factory. Let's start up with a very small setup. Let's do with the artisanal chocolates and all. So majorly the industry is, if you talk about Ahmedabad area, majorly it's a home baker industry, artisanal chocolates, and there are very small mom and pop shops are there. So what we basically did is, coming from industrial background, we set up a very small setup, 2000 square feet area, set up machines, semi-automated system and all. And I started pitching to people who want to start their own brands. But introducing a brand is a costly affair. It ranges anywhere from 5 lakh to 50 lakh or even upwards of 1 CR as well. Depends on the distribution scale you are thinking to launch your brand. So because I had a very good experience with packaging when I was with Hyphen, very good relations I made with packaging vendors. I solved their problems as well. So their MOQ for me is very less. Like if anybody else goes, they say, "Nahi, hum 5,000 ke niche nahi banayenge." I go, they make 50 for me, 500 as well. So my cost to introduce a brand for my clients is marginal, and they can get into the market. So now if you see, if you are an independent person, if you see me, when I say create our own market, what I did is I created my own market in terms of launching different brands for different companies, right? Basically, people call it white labeling or private labeling. So I do not do anything on my brand because it takes its own hard effort. I am associated with multiple things, so I cannot focus on one thing. So instead of that, what I did is take more of a backseat position or more of a manufacturing role, and do packaging, back of packs, even guide them on branding, connect them with good designers, graphic designers, and all those things. So that's what I meant by creating our own market. Sometimes if you have good cross industry knowledge as well, so let's say if your own industry is saturated and you have a good product, and you can go to other industries as well. So that is another example of creating your own market, right? So I hope I'm making sense with
Yeah,
what I
no,
explained.
absolutely. But you know, the example that you gave is a very niche market, right?
Right.
It's not that's not just something that is even a viable option for many different people. The particular example, right? The particular approach
Yes.
that you gave.
Everyone.
If you, go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So see, my philosophy is this: the basics of what I did can be applied to other fields as well. You just need to know your problem. Once you know that, you can apply those principles.
So can you give me an example of any company that you may have worked with? And even if you don't want to take their name, you know, just kind of give a little bit of background of what they did. But give me an example of how somebody else, you may have guided somebody else to do something similar. And I don't mean in terms of approach, but in creating a new market as an example, either
So see,
domestic or export. Yeah.
for me, I have always been in the back end role, so it's difficult for me. Personally, I haven't done it, but I'll give you example. Let me think about it. Uh, so yes, for chocolate industry itself, because that's the most recent example I can think of. One of our clients, so he was facing saturation. They are located at highway. So and once there is a bypass road, so their footfall reduced, right? So I hope you're looking at this kind of example, like how we created.
Absolutely.
So it's more about how we increase their online sales and all, right?
Yeah. And how big was this client? Yes, absolutely. So give me a little bit more detail about the client so that one can build a visual picture.
Yeah, they were doing a good per day. They had a good sale of around 3 to 5 lakhs. On a weekend, they were doing around 7 to 10 as well. But once the highway was there, the sales dropped by at least 30 to 40%, and sometimes 70 to 80% as well. Because highway, right? And if monsoon is there, highway construction starts, so the footfall reduces drastically. So they had heavy reliance on those footfalls. And then they were thinking before as well to, go into the city as well. And many people these days, about the container model, like, prefabricated containers are there. They just do the interiors as per their need. And then it's portable, movable, you can place it anywhere. So they moved to that model. And then what they did is they kind of did the footfall study of other places as well. So instead of a one big retail outlet, they did very small container sized 20 by 10, sometimes as small as 10 by 10 as well, depending on the rental rates and all. They launched like 10 or 15 of them, and it kind of increased their revenue. So if you look in isolation, it's not nothing smart work has been done here, but it's more about how you are approaching, how you are solving your problem, and then you need to have capital as well to solve it. So many of these things are interrelated as well. What I have observed, people have ideas, but sometimes where they lack is the finance part.
Hmm. So how easy or difficult would it be for someone to kind of, you know, raise funding for this particular kind of work? What you just
So
illustrated, let's
some
say the entrepreneur didn't have the funding, how would they go about it?
let's discuss both the cases. One case where they
Hmm.
have funding, because even when they have funding, they have sometimes they are not confident on the idea about, okay, if we invest so and so x amount, are we going to get y return
Returns.
on it or not? So it's more about the risk appetite as well, one part, if they have funding. If they don't have funding, then they rely on either friends and family. That's always the first source. Second is NBFCs, and then bank. I have not seen many people who go directly to the bank to try a new idea. If a company is established, then only they take those options. But at this initial phase, to try new ideas, they actually think a lot, and that was one part that was heavily discussed even in the last meeting as well. Unja is a spice capital of India, right? But no value addition, nobody is doing. One is the trust deficit is there, which was been accepted by the chairman present from the spice board from Unja. And trust deficit is more in terms of if they do within, we didn't discuss more on the definition of trust deficit, but what I understand is it's within the traders as well, within the industry people as well, that if they start something, एक वो जो भेड़ चाल, sheep follower वाला concept भी रहता है.
Yes,
so they
right.
fear
So
that
nobody
as
wants
well.
to share information either, right?
Share information, yeah. And I think Shailendra ji was also there, another food consultant. He mentioned that he gave a couple of ideas as well, that you can do this, that. But it's more about taking the risk as well. And again, we enter that vicious cycle of, do we have market available or not? If market is available, who is willing to take that risk? If somebody is still willing to take that risk, how to have the entire R&D around that new product development. So, and a friend of mine, I was after this meeting, who is in packaging, he was giving me example of two case studies right from spice industry. So one guy, he spent heavily on marketing. He in spice industry itself.
So what kind of spice was that? Give me a little bit of background. Yeah.
Spices, all different, like Everest and MDH, they were in that similar segment. So, and I think they were
ground
doing some
spice. Essentially
spice.
Ground spice? Okay, yeah.
Ground spice, yeah. And I think they were also doing some kind of oil extraction as well, cold press processes and all those things. So he and one company, they focus heavily on marketing, just showbiz kind of a thing. So their entire marketing budget, it exhausted in a year. The other company, what they did was did job work first. For other companies, zero spent on marketing. Focused on exports. They kind of, I think the one main means is to do all the exhibitions, expos, and also to tap into the export market. That's what we also did when I was with IPAN. They, I think, since 2017 and 18, they were visiting all the big expos, and that kind of builds confidence as well as relation with the other country, you say traders, QSR chains, whatever it is, if you're talking about a food segment. Sorry, I'm jumping a little bit between two different studies.
Yeah, that's fine.
Coming back to the spice industry, so the marketing guy, they invested heavily as well on the plant, but the other guy first built 60 to 70% of their capacity, and that's what I always mention whenever anybody comes to us and they say we want to set up a plant. we always ask them, do you have work? If you have work, what is the nature of your work? Is it B2B or B2C? Or you are directly going into the retail market? Because directly going into the retail market, you will not be able to utilize your entire capacity. You have to enter into job work first. If you are a new player into the market, if you are an established player, then it's a completely different story. So that's kind of a live example that we have seen. In theory, we always know that these things happen, but we have many live examples as well of the same.
Okay. And in your give me a little bit of more depth in your own business model, the chocolate, the packaging thing. So how do you actually, so you started by enabling many different brands to take off,
right?
And where is the business now, and what do you see as the future? Walk me through what you see as both an opportunity and a challenge, and how do you see yourself grow further?
So yeah, the initial request that we generally get is we want to enter into confectionery or chocolate industry. That's usually the client comes forward with the request, and then they simply tell us, you decide the SKU, you decide the recipe, taste profile, and everything you do, just give us the finished product. So we help them with all these requests. We kind of finalize the SKU. It's generally the client who does all the sampling and testing as well. So once everything is finalized, the major challenge which they face and they do not get too much support is on, sometimes we even make them 100 bars as well for a given SKU. So imagine like a 50 gram 100 bar is a 5 kg. Nobody will entertain that kind of an amount. But for us, it's more about not making profit on the first go. And I'll be very frankful, if I talk about this particular venture of mine, it's not profit making. It's just the passion and hobby to have other people start business, and it keeps us thinking. Yeah, it's a break even. So if we want to make it profitable, I have to focus more on it. I hardly spent 2% of my time on that business, to be very frank with you. Coming from a systems background, I have set the system there, and it's running on its auto mode. But to answer your question, the enablement mostly comes from the packaging support. Recipes and everything, it's already there, because my partner, he was with a European company for almost 8 years. He was with Schmitten as well. So he comes from a very diverse background. For him, recipe making is very simple. The other companies might take 3 months. For him, it's a one-day job. So,
right.
So again, like the discussion that we started, it all comes from the knowledge base, right? If you have the knowledge base, you know exactly what needs to be done. Let me give you my example. Like for me to set up any digitalization project, we did SAP at Hyphen in 6 months. We were I think at that time we're doing turnover around 300 to 400 CR. If you ask any other consultant that can you do a digitalization projects of ERP in 6 months, they will say no, it takes 2 years. And I personally know it takes 2 years. But I went to the ground, I was with the farmers. So nobody at a kind of stakeholders level go to that level of detail for the idea implementation.
Is that where you see the biggest gap?
That's the biggest, in any digitalization project, if I have to ask, that's the biggest gap. The gap between the promoter, the gap between the top management, the gap between the mid management and the floor level. There are many things that poses challenge as well. If you allow, I will go into the details. Otherwise,
walk me through an entire chain. It's very fascinating, actually. And I think most of the time people don't realize. What I see is that many a times the promoter or the entrepreneur has a broad idea of what they want done, and then they rely completely on a consultant. And often the output is not what they want. And so if that's the situation that is facing sorry, a small business, I would say, give me an example of how you see that play out, and give me an example how an entrepreneur should actually navigate this. Because obviously, the entrepreneur cannot be an expert in everything, so they do have to work with external consultants. But how
Right.
do they navigate this such that they can reach success? That's a big challenge.
See, there are multiple things. If first we will has to be there to do the digitalization or ERP and all those things. So, and I think that's the first step towards whatever we are thinking to do. If you are entering into the AI and ML journey, if you do not have a proper ERP system in your enterprise, you will not be able to go to the next step. That's the basic foundation. That's what I believe, right? Data has to be there. Before going into digitization has to be there. Your records has to come on electronic media, right? If you are on paper logbooks, I'm not sure after 5 years, even God may not be able to help them to come up to scale. So let's say once they come on that electrical media. So see, let's start at a very base level first. Coming from industrial background, I have a very deep understanding of time study, capacity building, capacity measurements, capacity models and all those things. And when we talk about SMEs, be it service industry, be it manufacturing industry, or any industry, you have to have understanding of all these things. Very few people, if we see, they have that kind of a base knowledge. So what they are doing is they take decision on the basis of their guts or on the basis of their previous experience. But nobody delves into the details where they validate on the basis of statistical data. As long as the company is making profit, the ROI on doing all these things is also less. Once they enter into the cycle of continuous improvement or Kaizen or all the Six Sigma thing where you try to get more out of your bottom line, then people start focusing on all these things. They hire consultants, they say, oh, you come understand our process, suggest what improvements we can do and all. Now the consultant, if they have worked in industry for long, they are good hands-on consultant, they will be able to suggest you good ideas, or they will be actually able to solve your problem. But these days, and no offense mean, a 1 year experienced person also call themselves consultant, a 50-year person also call them consultant. So the spectrum is so wide in terms of the years of experience. It's very difficult to judge on the quality as well, right? So that's where there is a bit of lag in terms of confidence on the consultant. If you speak from the entrepreneur side, whom to hire. If you talk about big four, be it EY, Deloitte, KPMG and all, they come with very good tools, they come with very good templates because they have know-how of multiple industries, right? And they are able to solve your problem as well. But the price tag is big because experience and all those things, they have their own overheads. But what mostly happens, and if you do a good case study, whenever you do with big four, they are good at solving the problem, but sustaining that solution is very difficult as well. So whenever I talk with EY guys, I have mostly worked with EY, and in US I have worked with McKinsey. So I always used to ask them, you solve your problems of your client, but you never solve the sustainability part of it. Because whatever capacity models or Excel files you give, your PPTs, they are good for a certain time frame only. Because industries evolve, the solution doesn't evolve. And promoters, they do not focus on that part in building the capability of the internal stakeholders or their employees. So I always talk about internal stakeholders and external stakeholders. Internal are their employees. So I hope I am able to answer.
No, this is absolutely. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.